Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today I want to talk to you about a protocol for getting your ex back. Now, a lot of times we use some video advice, some book advice, some friends' advice, some family's advice, and we think, okay, I can take this, I can take that. You change your mind, you wonder what's going to work, what's not going to work. But the reality is you need a sequence to follow the directions of where to go, correct? It's very important to a lot of people to have some directions. But sequence to those directions is something I don't see a whole lot. The reason why is because during a breakup, there is no guarantee, right? There's absolutely no guarantee. And the idea that you are going to stitch together some advice from this coach, from this therapist, from this friend, or this family member, and put together a sequence of events is very difficult because a lot of times your advice that you're getting is conflicting. It's very conflicting. And so I get a lot of clients that come to me and they go, hey, I was going to do this, but I watched this Dan Bacon video, or I watched this Corey Wayne video, and it said this, but it said this, and now you're saying this. Go with what you really want to go with. But if you have an outline to start with, right? How do you start with your original outline? It's really important, right? What's going to be the outline that you start with? And I'd say that having that is very, very important. It's very underrated because where you start the breakup process is very important, actually. It's like one of these things that this would be a great thing to teach for people during their first relationship, just to get an idea of this. A lot of people wouldn't listen. They go, oh, I don't want to listen, because people don't take advice until they have to take it, right? They don't do that. They feel like, I don't need this advice right now. It's not pertinent to me. I'm never going to break up. Relationships last forever. It's the movies, right? This happens all the time. So I'd like you to put in the comments if you feel like you've been in a situation where you've developed a playbook on something, right? And what do I mean by that? Like, you found a way that you figured out the secret sauce. Now, breakups just don't work that way. But there is an outline. There is an outline for you. Okay? There's absolutely an outline. And I'm going to go through that today and break it down for you a little bit. We're doing a little bit of a different stream today with StreamYard, so this is new for me. Let me know if there's any comments on the camera. The sound in the background of the drilling is from a neighbor working on their roof, so we're just going to deal with that today. But what's the protocol to get your ex back? Isn't it so nice when someone gives you directions? I think this is what's really interesting about cooking, right? You know, if you want to bake a cake, the directions are on the back. Do this, this, and this, and you'll get this. Guaranteed. Now, if you get the measurements wrong or the heat wrong, you might mess it up, right? But really good cooks, correct me if I'm wrong, people that are really good at cooking, they improvise. They take the directions, they take the ingredients, and they add a little something to it. And so when I say that there's a protocol to get your ex back, what I'm saying is there's an outline, more or less. There's not something to directly follow. How you doing? Truth of Life, Mr. Clutch. First time using StreamYard. Let me know how it goes as far as your end. So it's always interesting when you're trying something new, a new software for the live stream. I think the picture and everything comes in good. It's just a different format. So first things first, like I said, put it in the comments if you have a thing that you would say, this is what I would do first out of a breakup. Not what you would do with your ex or your partner, because that's going to be unique, right? Because your breakup's unique. But what would you say would be the first thing to do? Some people might say, stop calling them, right? My advice is probably going to be unsurprising, if that's even a word, to many of my clients of the past. And I would say the number one thing to do, and please tell me in the comments, number one, what would you do out of a breakup with your life experience, with your past relationships? Thanks. Acknowledge it and accept reality. Absolutely. Acknowledge it and accept reality. Excellent, Tim J. Thanks for throwing that in there. I would say acceptance of the breakup is very difficult, but very paramount. Okay, it's very pertinent to your situation. You don't have to like it. Okay, you don't have to like it. But the best outlet that I've found is to either write out your story, which I've been punching home for 4 years now, and it's writemac.com is the name of my site, and I ask you to write your story when you come talk to me. Now, some people say, I don't like writing, I'm not good at writing. Okay, limited belief, you got a gatekeeper there, you had a bad teacher when you were young that told you were a bad writer, fine. The other thing you can do with that is if you want to speak into your phone, which I think pretty much everyone has a phone now, and basically audible it, that's an option, right? That's an option. So you could also sit there and tell your story to yourself. Now, someone's like, what do you mean tell my story to myself? Well, if you don't want to write it out, that's the other option, okay? So the reason I'm asking you to write out your story is it's going to help you acknowledge, as the great Tim J says, what your perception and interpretation of what happened was. Now, what happens is you get a little bit surprised, but the reason why writing out your story or recording your story by voice is very important, okay? And doing this solo, doing this by yourself is very important, because when you go to friends, family, colleagues, and everyone else under the sun, they're going to interrupt you, or you're going to ask some advice. And this is what everyone does, but they don't realize they do it. You tell your mom about it. You tell your sister about it. You tell your boss about it. They got a take. What their take is just, this is what I would do. This is what happened to me. But the reality is you're never completing the whole story. And the other part that's really, really big, and this is why talking to a therapist or a coach is exceptionally important, right? Is you're going to not tell the truth or hold some things back, because I don't want to tell them that part. I'm going to tell them all these things. I've had clients basically spend money, talk to me for 40 minutes. We get into it, and then they go, I'm going to be honest with you. And then I say, that would be nice. And the reason they can be honest with me is, I don't really know you. I'm not going to tell your friends and family about it. And they'll go, actually, I was seeing another girl on the side. They spent 45 minutes complaining about the breakup, complaining about what they did, and they held this the whole time. Because they were shameful, they were embarrassed, they felt guilty, they felt upset by it, right? They thought I was going to react, that I was going to hammer them, how stupid they were, right? And the reality is, that's what you pay a therapist or coach for, to be neutral, to give you advice, to not tell your friends and family. And back in the day, this is what confession was at churches, right? Let it out. Because once you let out what you've done wrong or what you feel shameful about it, there is a release valve, okay? It doesn't cure everything, but it does definitely make you feel a little bit better. So getting back to that, you get into this, right? And you start writing out the story, you start auditorily telling your story to your phone, and you don't get interrupted. Then review it. Now, step 2, if you're with me out there, pinpoint the problems in the relationship and make a list of them. Make 2 categories. Okay? My issues with her or him, her issues with me. 2 categories. Make it real simple. And people, when they first break up, if they're heartbroken, they're lonely, they're horny, they go straight for their emotions. It's like, oh, I don't care about that anymore. But if you sit down, you write out the story, and then you write a list, and you go, all right, what were my problems with Sal? What were my problems with Kim? Okay? and you write it out, you'll get on a roll. You'll surprise yourself, and all of a sudden you'll go, oh, shit, I had a lot of problems with her. And then the next step to that, just write out the problems. And this is another thing when you go to a friend, family, or colleague that you don't do. Oh, I don't want to tell them about the fact that she used to not flush the toilet when she took a crap. I've actually had a client tell me that. I was like, are you serious? In the name of saving water, she came from an extremely poor background. They weren't poor. She would actually take craps and not flush the toilet. It's like, really? And she didn't like taking showers every day. It's like, this is your wife, dude? Yes. Okay, that's an issue, right? Hygiene, cleanliness. I guess some people would say that's unconditional love to stick with someone that leaves a floater in the toilet for you. But this is actually a true story, by the way, too. This is told to me by one of my clients. So when you go through these issues, he's not going to tell every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every person that he's ever worked with, his friend, even his best friend, hey, yeah, she used to take craps and leave them in there for a day or two, and I would come to him. It's like your friend would be like, what? And it's your wife, mother of your kids are like, wow, right? But these are things you can list for yourself that you have issues with. So you pinpoint these things because they add up. There's only so many things you can let go until you blow up, literally. Now you go through the issues and you put a star next to the ones that you believe can be fixed to you, by you, okay? So the issues that they have with you, maybe it's, you work too much, right? You're working 10 hours a day. You're dedicated to your job. A lot of times people that overwork, by the way, are people that don't want to come home because they don't like to be in the relationship. So sometimes that's a part of it. But you say to yourself, actually, you know what? I can cut my work day from 10 hours to 7 hours. I can get Fridays off. I can actually do that. I actually want to do that. I just didn't take a step back, catch my breath, and realize that I can do it. Okay? So what can you fix? What can you not fix? And put the check next to the ones you believe they want to fix about themselves. So this is the big one, though. Well, I want her to do this. I want him to do that. I want him to do this. I want him to do that. Is it realistic? It's like there's some people out there that go, I just want us to get our own place. Okay. I just want to get our own place. He's still living at home with his mom and his kids, and it works for him because it's really expensive, but I want us to get our own place. But the reality is the guy's saying, I like living with mom. I like the saving of money. I like the fact that mom still takes care of me. So when you go into that, it's like, oh, this guy's really messed up. No, he's not. That's his choice, okay? He has his reasons for it. But you think, if we could just get our own place. If it doesn't happen for 2 or 3 years, and he's like, yeah, I'll think about it. It's probably not going to get fixed because to him, it's not on his list. There's not a lot of reward to it. It's not going to happen, right? So when you look at that problem, is it going to be fixed? It hasn't been fixed in 2 years. It's been pushed to the side. Now, breaking up can sometimes jar a person into making some changes. So put a circle next. So here's the big thing. Now you go through the issues and you put a star next to the ones that you believe can be fixed by you. Now, let me just give you some really good insight. The only things that can be fixed directly by you are things that you do. Okay? You got the remote control on you. Now, put a check next to the ones you believe they want to fix by themselves. So there's no guarantee of what they're going to fix, but they want to fix that. They know it's an issue. A classic one is, I'm overweight or I'm out of shape. I don't like my habits of watching Netflix 5 hours a day. They want to fix that. They just haven't figured it out yet. Okay. So put a check next to that and put a circle next to the ones that don't matter anymore and you actually finally fully accept. So this is a big one. Sometimes you go through the list of things you're upset about and you're like, that doesn't even bother me anymore. That was petty. Now review that list and narrow it down to 1 to 3 issues that really need to change or be fixed. Then ask yourself, honestly, can this be done? How long would each take? And does your partner want to do their part in fixing these problems? Be honest. Because at the core of the breakup is the problems. What people get involved in is the emotional part, which is completely understandable because there's this thing called love, right, that gets wrapped up in it. But if the problems aren't fixable, and there's a lot of circles there and there's a lot of check marks and you're looking through them. Now, what you want to do is narrow down to those 1 to 3 issues that are the biggies. Alcoholism, drug addict, money issues, right? Are those a lot of those aren't going to change anytime soon, but is there even any hope that they change? Now, someone's going, is this a protocol to get your ex back? It's actually, I tricked you. It's a protocol to figure out if it's even fucking worth it to get your ex back. Because what people don't realize, I don't have a research on this. I don't have a studies show at Johns Hopkins University from 1,000 college students, which whenever you get these research studies, okay, like relationships are worldwide, billion people. They're very intricate, individually based, right? The reality is you know your personal relationship better than anyone else. And a lot of people, even if you get your ex back, you break up again if the problems aren't fixable or negotiated in such a way that you find them to be okay now. So those are your top three, just to review. Write out your story or record your story in detail, uninterrupted. Take your time with it. Be specific. Number two, pinpoint the problems in the relationship and make a list of them. Make two categories, my issues with her or him, her issues with me. Now go through the issues and put a star next to the ones that you believe can be fixed by you. And put a check next to the ones you believe they want to fix by themselves, and put a circle next to the ones that don't matter anymore and actually find fully acceptable. Do you get what I mean by that? Because there is a time when you break up and you go, oh my God, I really don't care about the fact that she doesn't trim her eyebrows enough. Okay? Some of the things you're like, I was being so petty. All right? Number four, now search for a breakup coach, relationship therapist, or any sort of person that you feel has extensive experience dealing with multiple breakups outside of their own. Okay? Also make sure that you respect the person for who they are and what they do. This is very, very important in this protocol. Okay? We've gotten to the point where you're looking for someone that is extremely knowledgeable in relationships and breakups and has a good background in it. Not your best friend who's broken up 3 times, dates a woman you would never date. That's a big one, man. It's like you get relationship advice from your best friend who's dating a woman that you find hideous, that you find disgustingly rude. Think about that. If he was giving you advice on how to cook a good meal and you don't like the food he eats, what are you doing here? If you go to a breakup coach like myself or a relationship therapist or anything, they're going to be a little bit more neutral, but they're going to be neutral and objective, which is the objective, because of the extensive level of cases of breakups that they've seen. Anyone that you go to that's not in this field is just going to tell you what they would do based on their relationships. Okay, so look at their baseball card and go, wow, this person's only hit 2 home runs in their whole life. I shouldn't go to them for hitting advice, right? Now, breakup coach, relationship therapist, this is probably going to cost you some money, okay? So if you say, Mac, I'm broke. I'm absolutely broke. I'm with you. I've been there in my life. It's not fun, okay? So in that particular case, friend or family member that you find to be the one that you'd like to get advice from. Don't go to multiple people, okay? What I would say is doing this passive thing where you make comments on 1,000 YouTube videos, you make notes on 1,000 YouTube videos and websites, can be very conflicting, and it could paralyze your decision making. So you can go in 4 different directions. All right? You want to come up with some kind of plan and know the reasons why you broke up, know the problems. Right? If someone is really going to be able to help you, you'll have to build a rapport. So this is really big. This is why you choose your friend and family members. And this is when you choose a breakup coach, relationship therapist. Make sure you got a good rapport. Make sure you like the person. Make sure you believe in them. Now, number 5. This might be number 1, but this is just what I wrote in here. Now, find out the things you're not going to do. This is absolutely important, okay? Do not stalk them on social media. Do not stalk them on social media. Do not call them or beg them back. Do not seek pity or demand that they owe you something. So don't make demands. Don't seek pity. Don't use leverage of something that you can use against them. Do not endlessly search the internet for further info till you get get sold some sort of get your ex back value pack that is just a scaled product to the masses. So some of these get your ex back value packs that they sell on these channels, good information probably. I've seen some of them. I've looked across them. The reality is nothing beats direct advice about your situation, tailored advice. I'm going to say that one more time. Do you understand what it is to get tailored advice? Kind of like you get a tailored suit. If you went to a place and you were like, I'm just going to go buy a suit. One of the reasons suits look so good on people, right? They're tailored. I didn't realize this till I worked at an expensive department store in college. How many people that have money tailor their clothes? Like they get alterations on their clothes. Like most people, I'll take a large or a medium or an extra large shirt, right? It's never tailored to your body, right? If you're going to get advice on your breakup and you get advice like, well, all women, women are emotional. And so when you're dealing with emotions, you gotta keep in mind that men are practical and they don't do that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, so what happened in your breakup, John? Like who's going to listen to your story instead of give you generalized advice on what men do and what women do? The world's changed since the caveman years, right? And all these, there's these large groups of channels that are like dedicated to explaining masculinity and femininity, and it's fine. There's a lot of truth to that, but it doesn't really give you the advice you need in your individual breakup, right? This is why you really need to consider finding a coach or a relationship therapist that you trust, that you're going to go to and ride with. Now, if you have enough money, go to 3 or 4 and then pick the best one, okay? But when you endlessly search the internet and you pick bits and pieces, and you're gonna kind of put what you do is you're like, oh, I like the result that this guy's saying I'm gonna get, so I'm gonna do that. But the reality is, does it fit with who you are and what your situation is? That's a totally different game. There's so many people that come to me, it's like, oh man, I wish I would have talked to you earlier. I've had people I've thought about having these people come on the show, because I've had a few clients that had the money, that had the resources to talk to like 10 coaches. And I'm not gonna mention who those coaches are, because those individual cases, it doesn't mean that all those coaches are bad. But like literally, I've had one guy tell me that he had a coach tell him, write this down verbatim. And she gave him a script to memorize, to call his ex. And it was $400 and it was 45 minutes. She's like, take this down right now. And he took it down. I was like, are you serious? Right? Didn't help him through the breakup at all. Didn't help him come up with a plan at all. Hey, say this right here. He had another woman tell him he was cheating, and one of the reasons they broke up, he told the truth because he was so guilt-ridden. He was so upset. He couldn't do it any longer. He was lying to the woman he loved. The woman told him, why'd you tell the truth? Now, the guy's already done that. He's already told the truth. Now, whether your morals and values line up with telling the truth, which is a big one in the world of humans, humans do lie, but you get to a certain age and you're like, this isn't really worth it, right? You get to the point where you love someone, you're getting advice from someone, right? You're paying hundreds of dollars and they're like, yeah, you should have lied about your cheating habit. Okay. Right? A lot of this stuff online, it's scaled. This is what men do. This is what women do. It's generalized. This is what men do. Now, if you tell me your story, you give me a little background on yourself, we talk for a couple hours, totally different ball game. Totally different ball game. You know how much better the advice you stand to get when someone actually knows your individual story, knows your personality, and they have a background, they have experience in breakups or relationships, the odds of you getting your ex back, the odds of you dealing with your breakup in a way that's healthy and good for you are extremely higher, right? If you get tailored advice. So when you go online and you just see all these things, you see all these things, you see all these things, you see all these things, right? You see all these things, you see all these things, you see all these things. You're like, okay, I'll do this. Clients of mine that have been working with me off and on for a year, because a lot of people come to me, they come to me for a breakup, and then they're like, hey, dude, I got this limited belief I want to get rid of. Hey, I want to do some manifestation with hypnosis. I do that also, right? Hey, I got anxiety about my job. They come to me for that, right? Because we have a rapport now. We have trust. Hey, Mac's here to help me. Mac knows who I am. Mac knows a little bit about my past. Once we do a breakup coaching, a lot of things aired out that's a lot of vulnerable information that's embarrassing or shameful to most people in most circles. If I sit there and I hold space for you, we got a bond, we got a rapport. A lot of times you come back to me like, I want to talk about my other stuff because I trust you and you know me already. But when you go around the internet and there's so much information out there, you're scattering all the protocol and the sequence, and you just don't know what to do. It's like turning the lights off and going, okay, where's the door? Where's the door? Where's the door? And you're going from one step. This is the big one. And tell me I'm wrong. Put it in the comments. This is the big one. Oh, how do I get her back? It's like, wait, those steps I just mentioned, start with the story, write out the problems. What are the problems you fix? What are the problems she fixes? What are the problems that I can let go of? And someone's like, that doesn't sound like getting them back. Well, it's a really good place to start because you're going to start with your perceptions, your interpretations, instead of letting some person on the internet impose their interpretations onto you. Okay? And then you come and you're all spun and you're like, oh my God, I just watched a video by Brad Browning and he told me that if I text her a place that we've been to romantically before, I can get her mind switched and she can maybe come back to me. It's like, oh my God. It's like, okay, that's what you want to hear, right? Overall with the internet, we have a lot of conveniences. There's a lot of things where people go, man, if I want something fast, we have fast food. We could get a ride somewhere right away. We could book a ticket anywhere. So you get in a breakup and you're like, hey, what's the quick fix? Good luck. You want to do this right? Get square on your situation. Get square on your problems, right? Hire a breakup coach. Pay the money, right? You know, talk to a therapist. It's going to work a lot better for you. Okay? So now you go through these things that I just mentioned. Number 6, next step. Now this one's big. This is something I didn't fully realize when I started doing coaching. But now when I watch now when I watch videos, because I'm gonna start making reaction videos. And I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, man, look at that. Oh yeah. Yo. Did you see that? Yo, what? I'm not going to do it that style. But those are, wow, very audacious. And what I want to do is choose stuff that's actually useful for you and give a reaction to it or reinsure what's good advice. Because to me, I'm like, that's actually useful for my audience. Is me choosing a video where I go, this is actually useful advice and I'll tell you why. Because you're going to 1,000 videos and you're like, is this good? Is this bad? Is this useful? Is this snake oil? Right? So I've been going through a lot of videos. It's interesting because I haven't done it. I haven't done it before. Some people study it like, oh, this is my competition. I just shoot out videos. I do my coaching and I don't look at it. So I've been watching them, and the amount of people that give the most vague information with the most passionate blank emotion. And it goes something like this. You need to work on yourself. You need to find your purpose and put yourself first. It's like, oh. I'm listening to this. The amount of people that do this, they got like 300,000 subscribers. It's like 80,000 views, right? Let's just start with working on yourself, okay? You get to working on yourself. Hey, get to the gym. It was funny when I was younger. I used to get a magazine, Maxim magazine. I don't know if you know Maxim magazine. It's a men's magazine, right? And this was like 20 something years ago, and they'd have a part of the magazine that was for like healthy lifestyle things, and they would have every month like top 10 foods to eat, and it would be the same foods. It would be broccoli, almonds, walnuts, cauliflower, spinach. It would be the same foods every time. There would never be any groundbreaking. It's like someone goes, "Hey, you really need to eat your vegetables." Oh, groundbreak! Thank you for telling me that. And so I'm watching some of these videos, and some of this information that's on there, very polished delivery though, good-looking woman giving the information, right? And I'm watching it. And I'm like, God, if I was watching all these videos. It's like, oh, work on yourself. Oh, find your purpose, right? And, right, this is self-improvement 101. It's not bad advice. It's extremely surface-based. But here's what they get wrong. Why aren't you going to the gym? Why aren't you eating more healthy food? Why aren't you working on yourself? Put in the comment. What do you think? What do you really think the reason is? What do you think the reason is? Oh, I just need to go to the gym. Oh, come New Year's, I'm going to join a new gym and start a new year, and then I'll be motivated. Does that ever work for anyone? What's the real reason? The real reason is, are you ready? You've got some limited beliefs. You got some gatekeepers on your subconscious. It's like you have paths towards everything, right? So like someone says, hey, man, let's go to the gym. Some people say, fuck yeah, man, let's go to the gym. Let's go. Someone else goes, oh, man, I injured my calf yesterday going up the stairs. I would go to the gym, but I really can't because my calf just is strained and really hurts. It's like, okay. Next time you ask that same friend, he's, man, I didn't get enough sleep last night, right? There's a gatekeeper that says, don't go to the gym. It's not fun. Subconscious goes, come up with excuse. Subconscious wins. You come up with an excuse, and you think the excuse is true. You're like, oh, yeah, my calf really does hurt. Mind you, there's some other guy at the gym with a broken pinky, right? So you need to find the tools. And this is why I started doing hypnotherapy and EFT, emotional freedom technique. You need to find some tools to work on your limited beliefs. This is way deeper than going, hey, man, so post-breakup, you need to work on yourself. Hey, you need to find your purpose. You need to work on your purpose. I was talking to some guy, highly successful individual, made his money, owned a few businesses, right? And it came up in the conversation, and someone said, oh, you need to find your purpose. And he's like, what does find your purpose mean? What do you mean? Like to him, he had been successful. He had never even heard this before, this concept. So getting back to this, find some tools that actually, because it's obvious, right? I need to exercise. What are the ingredients to work on yourself? Exercise, diet, sleep, goals, mission, right? And someone says, it's easy for me to give that information. How easy is it for me to say that? Hey, man, work on your purpose. Yeah, I know. I need to work on my purpose. What's your purpose? Oh, I don't know, man. I really like to draw. I've always liked art. So I think I'll do more art. It's like, all right. Right? It's like, how are you going to make these changes? So one of the things that I went and did is I got certified in EFT. I got certified as a hypnotherapist. I went through this pretty rigorous program to do this, right? So I have a couple tools now when someone comes to me and says, hey, man, I can't go to the gym. Hey, man, I can't get over this. Instead of me saying, let it go. Let it go. I've had a client tell me that they had a breakup coach tell them, I command you to forgive yourself. What? I command you to forgive yourself. That was his advice. It's like, wow, that's pretty surface-based, bud, right? So you need to find some tools and resources that are actually useful in dealing with stress, anxiety, heartbreak, and your limited beliefs. Because this is what really happens, right? Tell me I'm wrong on this in the comments. Tell me I'm wrong. The things that you're really wrestling with when you're post-breakup, besides being heartbroken, okay? If you were with someone for 5, 6, 7, 8 years and you live together and you mesh together, that's heartbreak, man. If you dated someone for like 6 months and had good sex and were attracted to each other, that's not really like heartbreak. That's more ego-based. It's like she rejected me, he rejected me. I don't know why they did this. Heartbreak, it's different, man. It's fucking different. You see someone with real heartbreak, it looks like they just went to a funeral. You could see it in their eyes. You're like, are you okay? And that feeling, that's not something that some coach is going to charge you $400 or $500, and in a day, in a session, they're going to go, hey, man, what I want to tell you is just work on yourself, forgive yourself. That's not getting like that's talk therapy, and it's not going to get to the root of the issues. Heartbreak's going to take some time if you do it right. Right? You literally, just like you have to lay off a sprained ankle, you need to lay off your heart for a little bit. You need to be around loved ones. It's going to take a little bit of time. And if you have serious heartbreak, talk to a coach or a therapist. Like, get those resources out there. And do not be talking to negative friends or family members that are going to bring you down further. Heartbreak's different. People can't relate to heartbreak unless they've had it before. Real heartbreak is different than just a fucking breakup. They're different animals. Like I said, there's people that come to me, oh, we were dating for 6 months. She just ghosted me, but we were kind of seeing each other. I really liked her, but she played this game. We did this. That's all right. I can help you with that. We can talk about that. We can do some things about that. We can get to the bottom of it. I can give you some tailored advice. But really, like a heartbreak, totally different. Man, we have a kid together. This is my wife of 7 years. Right? Totally different ball game. This is why general advice, oh, this is what men and women do. It's like there's some truth to that, but it's different because you're different than every other person. Now, these things that I've learned, they're not the only tools to use. Right? You can breath work, yoga, meditation. Now, here's a big one, right? Meditation. How many times have you heard someone say meditation is wonderful, right? It's the best thing you can do. How many people have heard that, right? If I had to raise the hands at 100 people in a room, it's like, yeah, I know meditation's supposed to be great. I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay. The reality is you could do it, but you're not taking the time to practice it and do it. You don't have enough quiet time to do it. You haven't really addressed why you can't do it, right? But you know it's good for you. But someone goes, meditation, you know, it's going to help you with all these different things. It's so important. It's just not, you know, a lot of people that are famous have done it. People don't know this. The Beatles were big on meditation, transcendental meditation. That's the name of it, I believe. Now, an alternative to meditation, sitting in a cross-legged stance with your fingers like this, right, which a lot of people have trouble with, surprise, surprise, with the attention spans these days, would be hypnotherapy, or hypnotherapy is very, very much the same to guided meditation. So literally if you've watched any guided meditation videos on YouTube and you're like, I really can't relax, I can't calm down, this is a great alternative for you to actually get directions on how to guide your body to calm down, relax, and get into that state of meditation. Hypnotherapy, like I said, which is what I'm certified in now as a hypnotherapist. Went to school for this, all right? I practiced it for 400 hours, right? So when you do this, you put someone in a meditative state. What does that do? If you're dealing with a problem such as heartbreak or a breakup, don't you think being in a meditative state would be helpful? Rather than me saying, hey, man, let it go. Just let it go. If I put you into a meditative state and then we talk about the issue, we talk about the problems, maybe they're linked to something else. And this is the big one. People that have a lot of trouble with breakups, maybe mom abandoned you when you were young and never came back to the house. So this is charging something from that event, right? What I'm getting at, your next level in this sequence of dealing with a breakup is finding some tools, whether that's meditation. Exercise is a big one. A lot of people don't like exercise. Exercise is probably the greatest natural drug you can do. Getting sun, being out in nature, right? Now if someone says, I know exercise is good, I can't do it, that's a limited belief. So then you got to go into something like EFT or hypnotherapy and figure out why you have that limited belief, because you need to, here's the thing, you need to get rid of that gatekeeper that's there that's saying don't exercise. There's no reward to it. Find an excuse. Because that's the problem with a lot of advice. Everyone and their brother knows to exercise and eat healthy food. What's holding you back? Now you're thinking like, what's this have to do with the breakup? Everything. Because when you're post-breakup, when you're standing on the island alone and you're going, I miss her, I miss him, I miss her, I miss him, I miss him. I just want him back, I just want him back. And you're coming across all these, well, you got to work on yourself, right? And you have trouble working on yourself, well, then you need to find some new tools. You need to find a personal trainer or coach that can help you with these things, like myself or like some of these other coaches out there, and then stick with them or her. Okay? Now, there's other things to do. I mentioned EFT, which is a tapping technique. I'll have another video on that in the future. Hypnotherapy, which is like guided meditation to relax you, put you into a state. Record guided meditations, bilateral stimulations, which can be sound-based. There's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of things you can do instead of me just saying, hey, improve yourself. Okay? Now, this is another thing. When you get yourself a breakup coach or a therapist and you start getting deeper than the surface of just, I miss her or I miss him, right? Stick with this person for at least 3 to 4 sessions. Pay the money if you have it, because it's very important. I often tell people, if you're going to spend a lot of money, right? Where do you spend money right now? Like, look at your expenses. And then look at, for example, if you're going to buy a computer, buy the best computer money can buy for you, right? Buy the best, because you're going to use a computer. In most walks of life, people use it for work, they use it for socializing, they use it for email. It's an intricate, big part of your life, such as the phone. So it would be something that you would use and be helpful for a long period of time. Your mental health, your ability to overcome a bad breakup, and you're going to be cheap about that? You're going to try to collect the information on your own in an area that you don't know much about? It's possible, but this is an area worth investing in. When I had my bad breakup 10, 12 years ago, and like when I say 10 to 12, because I forgot, because it's not a big deal anymore. Time heals a lot, right? But I went to a couple different people that I paid money for that weren't necessarily breakup coaches. I call them holistic healing therapist. I went to a hypnotherapist. That's why I'm so pro hypnotherapy. Really helped me. Had 3 sessions, absolutely changed my life outside of my breakup. Absolutely shifted everything I do and the way I think. And a great source, if you're into manifestation, hypnotherapy is a great bridge to that. Great bridge to that. Oh, I can't manifest things. Try it using hypnotherapy. Now, what you're not getting, right? If you get a bad therapist or a bad coach, I think Clutch, if you're still on, Truth of Life, he mentioned that he went to a therapist, I don't know how many years ago, but he said he had to go to 16, 17 therapists. Might have been an exaggeration, but I applaud the fact that I'm not into, oh, this therapist sucks. Oh, this therapist, they're not for you. Okay? Their rapport, the way they talk, There's a lot of things that turn people off to us, not just in romantic relationships. And so when you're going to a coach or therapist, find someone you like. They're like, I like this person's approach. I like the way they talk, because then you're going to be more receptive. Why do I like a book more than you like a book? It's the narrative. It's the style of writing. It's the fact that the book has stories that I relate to, that resonate with me. And I can come across a story that has nothing to do with Rob or Nanako or Tim, and Tim's like, that was a horrible story. That was a horrible movie. It doesn't resonate with you. You can't relate to it. Okay? And so when you go to someone like a coach or a therapist or something like this for your breakup, just make sure they resonate with you. If they don't, move on. Don't be bitter. Don't spend 20 comments talking bad about them. Whatever. Move on. Okay? Now, if you don't have money, like I said, friends and family can work in this role. They can work. They can be there for you. They need experience in the situation. They need to be as objective as possible. Right? But they also have to be someone you respect for advice, not just your friend. Friends and family are not a choice when you're young. Think about this for a minute. You're born with your family members, right? Your mom and dad have a baby boy. It's like, that's my brother. Did you choose that brother? No. But hopefully over time, that's just built-in love, unconditional love over time. Whatever happens with your brother, sister, whatever. It's not really a choice, right? You got to stick with them. Friends, you think you have a choice, but really when you go to grade school, high school, middle school, it's proximity. It's the person that lives closest to you. It's the person that's in your class that sits next to you. It's the person that was on the basketball team with you. When you get older, you have a little bit of a choice. You start being a little bit more choosy about your friends. You're like, you know what? You've learned a little bit, right? So when you go to a therapist or a coach, if they don't rub you the right way, that might be the wrong thing to say. If they rub you the wrong way or right way, and you'll know, right? You're like, I don't like the vibe this person has or how they deliver it. I've had plenty of clients, somebody come to me and they're like, yeah, he told me to do this or she told me this. It's like, all right, well, it's a discovery mission. You're looking for help. You're looking for solutions. So that's a positive. But eliminating the things that don't work is very, very useful, right? So let's just review what your coach or therapist can help you with most, and then I'll get into the chat. We'll talk a little bit. I see some of the regulars are on deck. If you have any questions for me, I haven't been on a live stream in a long time. I'm trying Yard Stream for the first time here, which is kind of cool. And I'll be doing a lot of reaction videos coming up. And so let me know what you think about that in the chat. If there's any videos you want me to react to or what your thoughts are on our reaction videos. But one closing note here, what your coach or therapist can help you with most. Someone that has compassion and listens well. Someone that isn't going to impose or project their relationship values onto you. Number 3, someone whose opinion you respect and listen to. Now, what happens is in the States, and this is in the world, I'd say America, and I can't speak for Canada because I've never lived in Canada, but we got a few Canadians on the deck here, and with insurance, right? Someone's got insurance, they go, all right, I can get a therapist through my insurance. They get funneled to your local hospital or the therapist that your insurance cover. Not saying it's bad, but you're not really choosing a therapist. You're not really choosing. You're saying, my coverage covers this. You go to the therapist, they're horrible, you have no rapport, they have 10 patients a day, they're overworked, they're burnt out. You come to them, and one of the things I would say about that too, right? You could get a really good one. But the ones that you have to deal with that, right? It's like, I'm a therapist. It's like, we can talk about your breakup. We can talk about this. We can talk about that. They're talking about 100 different problems under the sun, right? Some of them are burnout. Some of them have their own problems. Some of them are really good. But the reason you went to them is because they're free. under your insurance, or they're included in that package. Then you go to them and you're like, that wasn't even worth it. You didn't really select them. That's the beauty about YouTube. You can watch my videos. You can watch Corey Wayne. You can watch The Great Clutch at Truth of Life. You can watch other people and go, I kind of like this person. It's really going to help with your therapy and coaching, right? Someone's like, well, that's kind of shallow just to like. It's like, I don't have to like my therapist. No, you don't, but you got to respect him. But it helps when you like them, when you like the way someone talks or approaches things. Tell me I'm wrong. Now, there's some coaches out there that are really successful in sports, and the guys will say, this is a player's coach. It means like he, caters to the players first. And the other ones will say, coach was really hard on us, but you respected him. It all counts on what you do and your results. Now, what is a good coach? They're on your side, but they tell you the truth. Now, you on the other end of that have to realize, like, that's what counts. I respect this person's opinion. They're telling me the truth. And this is the biggest one. When you go to a coach or therapist like myself, how do you feel afterwards? Do you feel better? I'm not talking about being cured. I'm not talking about walking on water, right? I'm not saying that, and this is the problem when people go, oh, it didn't work. It's like sometimes it takes a little bit more time. But just in that one session, do you feel better? Do you feel better? Do you feel a little bit better? Do you feel like you surface some things that are going to help you in the future? Do you feel like, I'd like to talk to this person again? That's the way you judge it. That's the way you judge it. And this, one of the biggest things, like I said, I'm finding, you get post-breakup, you start working on yourself, finding your purpose. And then a lot of people, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what that. It's like you got some limited beliefs. The limited beliefs come to the surface post-breakup. And then it's like you're going to these YouTube channels that are like, get your ex back. Get my ex back value pack. It's like, it's almost like, and forgive me because I always use alcoholism as an example, excuse me. But my father was a bad alcoholic off and on for years, so I dealt with it a lot. And it's just a common problem in all societies and cultures, right? It's a common breakup problem. It's a common thing. So a lot of people can relate to it. And it's very polarizing, right? So if someone was alcoholic and they went, I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to get an alcoholic quit pack, end alcoholism by buying this 40-page packet on all the advice, how good do you think that would work for a real alcoholic? If anyone knows a real alcoholic on the chat or has been an alcoholic in their past, tell me how. If you went on YouTube and they were like, oh, we have this 100-page video pack that you can buy for $80 and you'll never drink again. So why would that transfer over to the fact in heartbreak? It works for some people, but a small percent, because you're not getting tailored advice. And I'd add, the alcoholic is an alcoholic for different reasons than every other alcoholic. Think about that for a minute. The reason someone drinks profusely every day is probably different for different people. And for them to really find out why they want to do it, they need to find a reason to stop. They need a consequence, right? All right. Went on a little bit of a rant there. This is good. Yardstream works really nice. It's really clean. Broadcast is good. Cleaned up the background a little bit. Everything's looking good, feeling good. So like I said, if anyone else out there, I'm going to get into the live stream right now, have a little chat with you guys, a little back and forth, a little sparring here. Like I said, I've got on deck some reaction videos, and let me know if there's a video that you'd like me to review in the future or a channel, and I'll do that. Those are going to come out pretty soon. All right, so my rule: pause your social media, no drugs and alcohol for 60 days. So this is a Tim J. Thanks to acknowledge it, accept the reality. Thanks for your take, buddy. I'm curious, Clutch. You're still on deck, bro. Pause your social media and no drugs and alcohol for 60 days. I think that's a great advice. How would someone implement that, especially the social media one? Like, what would they need to do? I often tell clients to give your password to your friend and then have them change it so that you have to go through them to change it again. Because I give that advice, the no social media thing, but I think it's probably the biggest one that people break and literally hurt themselves with repeatedly. They relapse the relationship and the breakup over and over again. And this is probably one of the biggest ones over and over again. I looked at her social media again, ground zero. Looked at her social media again, ground zero. What are some ways that are creative that can get someone to not do that? PJ Scott Graham, can I call you PJSG? Greetings, Max. I'll listen later as I'm on the way to work. Greetings from Asia. Great discussion topic. Keep up the good, honest work. Right on, PJ. I actually live in Asia too, so we're on the same continent. I give advice to people on breakups, and I went to Coach Mac for input and understanding on my breakup. Getting that outside perspective you trust is important. I appreciate that, Clutch. Nanico World. I don't know if I've seen you on before, but how you doing? I May. How you doing? 18 was the magic number, right? Petty Betty. How you living? Rob IS, Guardian of the Gate, always good to see a reaction to maybe Corey Wayne. That's going to be one of the first videos I react to. It's a 7-year-old video, Rob. 7 Principles to Get Your Ex Back by Corey Wayne. It was kind of interesting because over 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, when I first started my channel, that was one of the first videos that I kind of reviewed. And it was interesting to watch it again and see what advice still prevails. And to watch the whole thing. And, you know, for me and my perspective, a lot of this stuff when I watch other videos is repetitive because it's just different packaging with the same message. And so you're looking for those nuggets or those things that are kind of surprising. But Corey Wayne, I mean, he gives good advice. He's got a great delivery, great way about him. I think that's underrated. His body language, his approach, his tone, it really counts. But yeah, I did the 7 Principles to Get Your Ex Back. Corey Wayne gives a lot of precise advice. You know, so tell her, hey man, do you want to get a bottle of wine and make dinner at my house? This is what you want to tell her. Come to my house, we're going to make dinner together. So some people like that, but my thing was some people don't like making dinner. Some people live with their parents or their roommates. So they literally, sometimes when you give precise advice on some things, people take it literally. And so my reaction to the video is just keep in mind you can improvise some of this advice because there's a lot of people that are devout Corey Wayne followers. And so they'll just do exactly what he says. My sister is watching you. Well, hello, sis. How you doing? Petty Betty's told me a lot about you. You're a real gem. I will tell you, if it's in Canada, yeah, we do the insurance thing here and the therapist thing if it fits the service. Again, you could find someone that works and is really good at what they do, but I ought to also say don't settle if it's not working because it's like fitting a shoe, right? You buy a pair of shoes and you're like, oh, these are cool, and they don't fit you well, you'll never wear them. You go to a therapist for advice. You don't like the advice. You don't like the approach. You don't like the way they dress. You probably won't take their advice. You probably won't have a good experience, right? How do you remember things? It's the experience you had, right? Canada in the house. You can get OHIP to cover therapy in Ontario with a doctor referral for up to 10 hours. Well, that's excellent. Chucksta. Wow. How you doing, bud? It's been a while. I hope you're well. Let me see here. I got a little bit behind. There he is, a Warriors fan whose team beat my Celtics in the finals. You know what, dude? If I had a second team I've always liked, I'm a huge Larry Bird fan. I like the Celtics. I love Marcus Smart. But it was a great finals. I thought the commentators were really hard. The amazing thing about basketball now is the amount of spectator voices that criticize the players minutely. This guy was just out of breath. This guy, it's like none of them have played before, or not a large, vast number of them, but they're just so critical. That was a great finals. The Warriors won. They have more experience. But the Celtics are a great team. Great team. That would be completely unaccessible to help most alcoholics. It's kind of funny, right, Chuck? If you think about it, right? It's like if I had a value pack for you. It's like, this is what would work. Truth of life, yeah. Because I've thought about it before. I can put together one of those. I've had a lot of business friends that are like, you need a digital asset to do that. Maybe in the future I would. To be honest with you, I think live advice is your best advice. I think interactive advice is your best advice. I've actually talked about this before, so excuse me if it's repetitive. I've done a couple programs that were online for coaching, I would put them underneath the self-improvement umbrella. And they were videos or they were modules without anyone that was a live person. And I gave up on them quick. I wasn't as motivated. Now, keep in mind, I'm a very interactive person, very social. I like talking to people. Surprise, surprise. It's what I do. But I just felt there's no human interaction at all. It's all videos for $200 or $80. And you think, wow, for $80, I'm going to get 80 pages of this. Now, there's some people out there that record information like that and do quite well with it. Kudos. Good for you. Good for you. It's just like, you read a book at the right time. Timing's everything. Truth of life, yeah, they're everywhere here. A lot. Let's see what else we got here. All right, we got some. Do you have a protocol on how you got your ex back? Yeah. So anyone else out there that came to this late? Do you think there's a first or second step in getting your ex back protocol-wise? So, read this really good book by Michael Yapko that talks about understanding the sequence of how you get to where you get. It's really good because how did you become a great tennis player? How did you become a coach, Mac? How did you become, what was the sequence of events? It's really interesting, right? But you can use that sequence for bad things too, right? How do you, if you're going back to the alcoholic thing, how do you go for a drink every day at the local bar? What's the sequence to that? Well, I get off of work, I feel really tired and on edge, and I think to myself, well, I'm going to go have a drink with my buddies Norm and Cliffy, right? And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to feel better, and that's a big part of my sequence. The sequence might even be bigger than that. Well, the bar's on the way home, so it's very convenient. There's a lot of different intricate parts and sequences that go into bad habits. Limited beliefs actually are deeper than that. They have a root. If you talk to someone, this is why people talk about your childhood and everything, and you go, oh, that's why I do that. Look at phobias. If you talk to anyone that's scared of spiders, they can go back to when they were 5 years old and a spider fell on them. You talk to anyone that's scared of clowns, that's a big thing for some people that are scared of clowns. They'll go back to when they were 6 years old and they went to a birthday party and the clown scared them, okay? Now, does that cure you from that phobia? No, but it really helps. It really helps to understand where it comes from. Hypnotherapy is great with phobias, by the way. You can disable social media. I've never thought of giving my password to someone else, but the problem is someone can always PW reset their account, and it takes some self-discipline. It probably is the number one problem, especially for people in their 20s. Jocko, move on, get over it, do some pull-ups. Yeah, great advice for Jocko. And here's the thing. Jocko's coming from a place, he's married. He's extremely secure. He's well off. He's got a lot of things going for him, right? He's got a lot of things going for him. And so it's quite easy for him to say that to someone. It's quite easy for him to believe that's what he would do. But the reality is, if his wife cheated on him, which I'm not suggesting she would, and I'm pretty sure he's married, but I don't know enough about him. So if there's someone that's a huge Jocko Willnick fan out there, correct me, okay? I don't follow people that well like that. Never been into the National Enquirer or anything like that. So he's giving advice for people like him. But the real interesting thing about people like Jocko, And I like Jocko Willink. I mean, he seems like a stand-up dude, right? I support what he does, right? But everyone gets humbled. And so people give that advice and they think it's like a throwaway comment, like, just get over it, move on, until it happens to you. I mean, would it be that easy if his wife ended up cheating on him with his best friend? Now, you say that would never happen. It's quite possible. Okay? Would he be able to move on, get over it, and do some pull-ups? Now, this is what happens, though. I tell you this, doing breakup coaching for a long time, helping people with relationships, some of the hardest falls are the people that were at the mountaintop. What do I mean by that? They got a great body. They got a lot of money. They're like, you left me? They can't get over it. Me? It's like, newsflash, yeah, you. They didn't want, and they ended up with this guy or that person? Yeah, you. It's the hardest fall. And people can't relate till it happens to them. Corey Wayne has lots of repetition in his videos, lots, but repetition is good drive to point to home. Yeah, sure. He still has great delivery. He's got great advice. Read the book 10 times. Nothing bad there. Things are shifting, though, Rob. I think you'd agree. If anyone watches YouTube right now, I think Clutch would agree. Things are shifting. Attention spans are getting smaller. Canned advice is getting a little bit repetitive. So I think, and even Corey Wayne's making some changes. If you look at it, he's doing a lot of those question answer things that are a lot of shorter videos. It's just because attention spans have changed. You can go against that or whatever, but it's just reality. Vietnamese I love Peruvian food, man. I haven't had that since I lived in San Francisco. There were some great Peruvian restaurants. You like the Choco voice, Norman Clip. That would make you Frasier. That was a great show. Things certain are shifting, lots of shorts. It's a pivot. Yeah, it's huge, man. I would say that just being someone that watches YouTube myself, I'm looking for shorter stuff myself. It's a big reason why my live streams aren't as popular, right? There's 150, 200 views maybe within the first 2 to 3 days, and then it just dies out. So there's going to be some more shorts on my end, more interactive stuff. Remember when we spoke 12 months ago and I said cancel culture, it's going to start to get canceled itself? It's happening, Mac. Yeah, you're right, bud. You're right. Isn't that so nice when you're like, remember when I told you? I have some friends and family like, remember when I told you? Remember when I told you? You got it, bud. Yeah, it's shifting, right? I mean, long form stuff. I'd say the one thing America-wise has, and it's not universal in the world. Universal wouldn't be the word. Yeah, it's not earthly. Is there's this huge draw towards embarrassing people, like on film. It's not, I wouldn't even say it's humor. It's embarrassing people. It's making a fool out of someone. It's, ooh. And I get sucked in it too, right? You watch some of these, ooh. He said that, she said that. Andrew Tate's huge right now. I was just talking to a close friend of mine. I'm like, damn, this guy's just killing it. Highly intelligent individual, whether you like him or not. Makes really good points. I mean, highly audacious, right? And people love watching that kind of stuff. And he's got a lot of sacrificial lambs out there, right? There's some people that step up to him. It's like, you know what's interesting about that? Like people that debate. Like someone, if you go into a debate with Jordan Peterson or someone like Andrew Tate, and I'm not saying Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson are on the same playing field because they're different. He's an academic. What's his name's a kickboxer or a jiu-jitsu guy, right? But people that can debate really well and make points really well, but then they and then they invite the thing that YouTube brings to the field or IG or some of these things, these influencers that maybe got clout through, playing video games and doing them online. Debating topics intelligently is different than influencing people about a video game, or even, I'm going to add this, even being a professional athlete and having that clout of being a great ball player. But then you get into a realm of debating a topic that's a big topic. It doesn't transfer over. Just because you're famous or you have a lot of people follow you doesn't mean you can have an intellectual debate. And that's what I find interesting about Andrew Tate is, like, even if you don't like him, the dude makes good points, right? He's got reasons for what he's saying. He's just not acting on emotion. He's just not following a narrative. And so he gets into these debates with some of these people. And it's just not fair. It's kind of like a heavyweight against a lightweight. Because there was one that I was watching a few days ago, and the guy's like, and Andrew Tate's there smoking a cigar, going, just listening, waiting for him to finish. And the guy's stuttering. He's on top of his words. He's just making things up as he goes along. He's being extremely impulsive. And Andrew Tate is like firing out reasons, logic, in control, right? So when they talk, the other guy ends up looking really foolish. It's not even a fair debate. It'd be really interesting to get Andrew Tate and like Jordan Peterson in a debate. It'd be really interesting when I think about that. That would be interesting. It's ego-driven stimulation. The shorts play on this as well. Dopamine hit, feel like a leader without leaving the couch or bed. Oh, man. Truth of life, that's interesting about the dopamine hits. I wonder what would happen if politicians started exclusively using shorts to communicate. Oh, God, that would be horrible, wouldn't it? Winning a debate and swaying an argument are two different things. Usually it takes time for someone to reflect before they change their opinion. I see what you mean. That's a good point, because someone can win a debate and I don't agree with them, right? Someone can win a debate and I could say, I still don't agree with you, but damn, that was good. It's kind of like, you know what it's kind of like, Truth of Life, The Great Clutch? Sales pitch. I could have someone give me a fantastic, I've had this happen before, fantastic sales pitch. Timeshare people were like this. If you ever met someone like was a 20-year timeshare salesman, unbelievable. I don't think the most ethical of people. Timeshares are not in existence pretty much anymore. But salesmanship, it's like, I remember I was pulled off the street in San Francisco. When I say pulled off the street, I wasn't homeless. I was walking with my girlfriend, and we were like Fisherman's Wharf or something. They're like, hey, do you want a free trip to Napa? Just listen to this thing for an hour and a half. I'd never known anything about these sales pitches for these timeshares. So this guy sits this down and does his timeshare sales job, and I was blown away. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to buy it. I don't even have the money to buy what you're selling. I'll take the 2 days in Napa for free. But that was an outstanding sales pitch. Like, I respect the sales pitch. I mean, you made good points. And it's like, I'll shake your hand, but I'm not buying it. There's a book called Spin Selling that talks about that, creating demand through indirect comments, just like a debate. Oh, okay. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. I mean, I was in sales when I was in my 20s, not at that level. I was always a salesperson that was good at rapport rather than selling ice to Eskimos. And you know what's important if you're ever in sales is feeling like you're selling things you believe in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't sell something I don't believe in. One thing I've always respected about Tim Ferriss, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek, who's got a huge platform, a lot of followers, and he's got a really good podcast. I don't know if it's a podcast because he interviews people and it's not live. But anyways, his commercials, whether you like them or not, are products he would use. That's ideal, right? Like they're products that I believe in, that I would use. They're not, and it's kind of like, have you ever watched someone you liked? And it's shocking now because I was back home. I never watched commercials, but I was visiting the parents for a little while. My dad still watches TV with commercials, which I thought was extinct, but is alive and well. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, these professional athletes are pitching hard alcohol and fast food multiple times. It's like, do you guys eat this stuff? I mean, it would be really nice if you could pitch things that you believe in. It's a lot easier to sell something you would actually buy, right? It's like a lot of times when I talk about coaching, I'm like, if you don't have a good experience with me coaching you, or you don't feel like it's helping you moving forward, not curing you or changing your life in a day, so to speak, I would be happy to give you a refund. You can't sell something you don't believe in. Isn't that the motto of the church? I don't know what you mean by that. Clutch, can you elaborate? Maybe I'm going on an hour and 16 minutes here, so I think a lot of people can sell things they don't believe in. I think people that are liars, there's people out there that believe their own lies that are really good liars. They just sell tickets, right? I mean, they literally, and what they'll do is they'll find a bigger reason of why they're selling something. But there are people, now this is going to sound interesting, they sell for sport. So you think like someone's selling for the commission, but I've met car salesmen or timeshare people that they're in communities or groups of friends that's how they get their clout, is by being outstanding salespeople. It doesn't matter that they're selling a shitty product. It just matters that they're able to sell so much and make money. So they're not doing it in lieu of, this is a great product, right? They're doing it because they're like, I'm a great salesperson. I'll sell ice to Eskimos. It's not, I'm doing something good for people, right? But there are salespeople out there that will say, I won't buy this. This is too much. There's salespeople out there that would say, this is a bad buy, right? This is not something I would buy. But if you've got something that is a product you've used, and like Tim Ferriss is at a point where he doesn't need to pick stuff you wouldn't use, right? And that's what gets me about some professional athletes. Like, God, you guys are just doing these national commercials for things you wouldn't buy that are unhealthy for youth. You know, and where's your moral compass, dude? Truth Alive Trudeau doesn't seem to do it, I don't think, or does he as well? I don't know that. That's the Canadian president, right? All right, this has been a really good, refreshing comeback to the live streams I haven't been on in a while. It's good to see the old band back together. Chuckster, I'm glad you're doing well. I have been told to maybe take this to Twitch, but I don't know what the advantages of doing a live stream on Twitch are. I've noticed that Yardstream has the option of going on Twitch at the same time. If anyone has any feedback on that likes my live streams, please let me know. But like I said, there'll be some more topics in the future. Probably not as many live streams, but as always, I really enjoy this. Tim, PJ, Truth Alive, Rob, Petty Betty, May, Chuckster. Wishing you and yours a very, very good one. It's curtains.